Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, 17th chapter, text number 14. Janenagasya gham yunjan sarvatosya cha madbhayam sadhunam bhadrameva syat asadu damane krite. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation: whoever causes offenseless living beings to suffer must fear me anywhere and everywhere in the world. By curbing dishonest miscreants, one automatically benefits the offenseless. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Dishonest miscreants flourish because of cowardly and impotent executive heads of state. But when the executive heads are strong enough to curb all sorts of dishonest miscreants in any part of the state, certainly they cannot flourish. When the miscreants are punished in an exemplary manner, automatically all good fortune follows. As said before, it is the prime duty of the king or the executive head to give protection in all respects to the peaceful, offenseless citizens of the state. The devotees of the Lord are by nature peaceful and offenseless, and therefore it is the prime duty of the state to arrange to convert everyone to become a devotee of the Lord. Thus, automatically all the citizens will be peaceful and offenseless. Then the only duty of the king will be to curb the dishonest miscreants. That will bring about peace and harmony all over human society. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. Hare Krishna. So we are reading from these pages of Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, which is entitled Creation, isn't it? So this chapter is entitled, 17th chapter, Reward and Punishment of Kali. And we saw that how after the Mahabharata war, the battle of Kurukshetra concluded, and Pandavas came out victorious. And Yudhishthira Maharaj was enthroned as the emperor of the entire world. So the whole Mahabharata, the war, the battlefield of Kurukshetra took place to enthrone Yudhishthira Maharaj as the emperor of the world, because he was known as Dharma Raja. So the king who perfectly 100% followed the Vedic injunctions, and according to the directions given in the Vedic scriptures as per Dharma, he had actually ruled over the citizens. But Duryodhana actually wanted to take away his position, who was a completely adharmi. So that is why Lord Krishna wanted Yudhishthira Maharaj to be enthroned, not Duryodhana. So then after the battle, what happened? The result was very clear. The Pandavas became victorious, and then Yudhishthira Maharaj was the eldest of the Pandavas, 5 Pandava brothers, and he was enthroned. And then he rules very nicely for 36 years. And then the next generation, the Parikshit Maharaj, who happens to be son of yes, grandson of Arjuna. So son of Abhimanyu, who actually Abhimanyu passed away in the battlefield. So that is why he becomes the heir to the throne. And Parikshit Maharaj also was very equally qualified, like his predecessors, like his uncles and other grandfathers. So he starts ruling very nicely. But then what happens? Krishna's purpose of coming, yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyuthanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyam. So all the adharmis on the surface of the planet Earth were actually wiped out, and then the purpose of Krishna's descent was fulfilled. So that is the reason why Krishna Balaram and the entire Yadu dynasty, the entourage of Krishna, everybody returns back to the original place. Krishna also goes back to his original abode, Goloka Vrindana. And then Krishna goes back, and Balaram also goes back. All the pure devotees, the different denizens, demigods who had taken birth to assist the Supreme Lord Krishna, they also go back. So then Yudhishthira Maharaj thinks that it's time for us also to retire from this material world and fully focus on the absolute truth, on self-realization. So they also finally retire, and then Parikshit Maharaj takes on the reins. And then when Parikshit Maharaj starts ruling, that was the time when Kali Purusha actually had entered this material world, this particular planet Earth, because Krishna had already departed. So Krishna Swadhamo Gamate. So actually Swadhama, when Krishna returns, all these inauspicious omens were seen, which were described in the previous chapter. And then Parikshit Maharaj comes across a person who was actually beating a bull and a cow. So Parikshit Maharaj gets very, very angry. It was never heard of. Even the lowest of the lowest creatures were given full protection in the kingdom of Pandavas. But Yudhishthira Maharaj, the Parikshit Maharaj here, he was seeing that a person who was dressed like a king. But actually what was his activity? His activity was beating the bull and the calf. He was trying to harm them and kill them. So becomes very angry, and then he starts questioning. And then few verses before we saw, he actually understood this is the Kali Purusha personified, and then he needs to be dealt with properly. And then he questions in the previous verse also the bull, that I say you are completely sinless. And then in today's verse, in the 14th verse, Parikshit Maharaj is again further conversing with the bull. Jane anagasyagam yunjan. That means Jane means all the living beings, the prajas, whoever there in that particular kingdom. They actually, anagasi, are supposed to be offenseless. Agasi means offense, anagasi means offense. And then agam means sufferings. So he is telling Jane anagasyagam yunjan. So that means what is he saying? He is saying that persons who are trying to cause pain or sufferings unto those who sarvatovasya chad madbhayam. So he is telling unto those who are completely sinless, they are honest, unto such living beings, if somebody is trying to cause pain and sufferings, then what will happen? Such person should be fearful of me. Sarvatovasya cha madbhayam. Sarvato means sarvato, everywhere and anywhere. They cannot escape after having committed such heinous activity. So he is telling, and then sadhunam bhadram evasyad. Sadhu means sadhunam bhadram evasyad. Prabhupada translates sadhu as the honest persons. Bhadram means all good fortune. So when this is the situation, in this material world today, what will happen? How a good fortune can be dawned upon the sadhus? Sadhunam bhadram evasyad, by asadu damane krate. Damane asadu krate. So basically by punishing the asadhus, the dishonest miscreants, the criminals, miscreants, by punishing them, the sadhus will get all good fortune. They will be given proper protection. So Parikshit is threatening the Kali Purusha, who was trying to punish these sinless and honest cows and bulls, who were actually, the bull was the representation of Dharma himself, and Mother Earth was represented by cow. So Parikshit Maharaj is assuring the bull and the cow that please do not fear. In my kingdom, and the kingdom of Parikshit Maharaj was this entire earth. So in my kingdom, wherever honest, nice people, the devotees, the sadhus are punished, there what happens? Definitely such persons had to face my wrath, is what Parikshit Maharaj is saying. So whoever causes offenseless living beings to suffer must fear me anywhere and everywhere in the world. By curbing dishonest miscreants, one automatically benefits the offenseless. So Prabhupada very beautifully starts with the purport again. There are only 2 points. Basically the protection of the sadhus and punishing the dishonest people. So by dishonest miscreants flourish because of cowardly and important executive heads of state. So the duty, the most important, the prime duty of the executive heads of the state or a country or a nation or the world, in this case because he was the emperor of the entire world, Parikshit Maharaj, so is to give protection to the honest people. In fact, Prabhupada also mentions multiple times that Praja doesn't refer to only human beings who are there in the citizens, as citizens in the state. Praja also refer to the animals as well as the trees, who deserve also proper protection and the due respect, the right to live. What our Constitution of India also speaks of, right to speech, right to live. So actually these are all derived from the ancient scriptures like Srimad Bhagavatam, Manusmriti, like that. So Prabhupada is mentioning dishonest miscreant flourish because of cowardly and important executive heads of the state. So now if executive heads are not strong, like Parikshit Maharaj. See, Parikshit Maharaj saw one instance, one cow and one bull being punished. Immediately he became active, and then what he was trying to do? He was trying to give protection. How the protection was given is by punishing the miscreants who was trying to cause this. So Prabhupada is clearly pointing out dishonest miscreants flourish because of cowardly. Now if the executive heads are not powerful enough to curb such dishonest persons, then naturally they will flourish. But when the executive heads are strong enough to curb all sorts of dishonest miscreants in any part of the state, certainly they cannot flourish. So Prabhupada is mentioning on the other hand also. So it's the other side of the same coin. If the executive heads are not potent, not qualified to give protection, naturally the miscreants will flourish. So on the other hand, if they are strong enough to curb these unwanted elements in the society or a state or a nation, then what happens naturally? All these people, they reduce in number. And then Prabhupada is telling, when the miscreants are punished in an exemplary manner, automatically all good fortune follows. Not that just simple punishment is to be given. Prabhupada is mentioning they should be punished, the miscreants should be punished in an exemplary manner, so that it will set a proper precedence. It will set as an example. Now Prabhupada mentions in another place where that not very far, say for example 100 years before, even the kings of Kashmir, when they were ruling, the laws were so strict that even one person, suppose loses something on the road, he loses, suppose for example wallet or something valuable, no one would dare pick it up from the road. So the rule was the same person, whoever it is lost, he will come back and pick it up from the road. Why? Because the laws were so strict that if anyone was found to steal something from anyone, immediately his hands used to be chopped off. So because of such severe punishment, it sends a very strong message, it sends a very powerful ruler's indication that whatever comes to someone's mind, without caring for any rules and regulation, nobody can act like that, just whimsically. So that is what Prabhupada is mentioning here, that as when the miscreants are punished in an exemplary manner, automatically all good fortune follows. So the innocent people who are sincerely trying to lead their life peacefully, they are all actually given protection when such exemplary punishments are given to the dishonest miscreants. As said before, it is the prime duty of the king or the executive head to give protection in all respects to the peaceful, offenseless citizens of the state. So Prabhupada is again repeating that. Now, the devotees of the Lord are by nature peaceful and offenseless, and therefore it is the prime duty of the state to arrange to convert everyone to become a devotee of the Lord. So now Prabhupada is not only giving the problem statement and the process, the solution to the problem also Prabhupada is actually offering. What is the best solution? Prabhupada is offering the best solution is that if everyone in the state becomes devotee, and what is the qualification of a devotee? So Prabhupada in other place mentions, Yasyasti bhaktir bhagavatya kinchana sarvair gunais tatra samaste suraha. So all the good qualities that are manifest in the sages, great sages, demigods, that are naturally, automatically manifested in a devotee, in a person who becomes a devotee, then what happens? Naturally, he does not want to harm anyone else, isn't it? He develops all the good qualities, so naturally he does not become a miscreant. So it is the prime duty of the state to arrange to convert everyone to become a devotee of the Lord. So convert a devotee means to transform the hearts of all the citizens and make them as nice devotees of the Lord, so that these unwanted elements in the society will be automatically eliminated. Thus, automatically all the citizens will be peaceful and offenseless. Then the only duty of the king will be to curb the dishonest miscreants. That will bring about peace and harmony all over human society. If suppose the society is filled with non-devotees, then what happens? The government will not be able to curb miscreants, because entire society is filled with miscreants. If there are one or two miscreants, okay, government is supposed to handle it. But in today's situation is that there are more than nice citizens, there are so many unlawful citizens who are actually not abiding to the rules of the state or the government or laws of nature, laws of God. So because of that, today's situation is such that there are always anxiety, there are always problems, and it's a symptom of Kali Yuga. So Prabhupada is offering here very nice solution, that just by government taking up, the executive heads taking up this responsibility of making everyone devotees, making everyone Krishna conscious, then all these problems of handling miscreants is actually eliminated. So that was the conversation which Parikshit Maharaj is having with Bull, and he was trying to question the authority of the Kali Purusha, based on which he was trying to harm these innocent animals. So Prabhupada mentions in other ways, other place, what is the definition of a sadhu. So Prabhupada defines sadhu in three ways. So in one place Prabhupada is saying, any person who is working to gain control of their senses, desires and mental and emotional states is known as a sadhu. So now sadhu is, one of the definitions of sadhu is actually his Indriya Yoga, Yoga Indriya Samyama. See, the process of connecting ourselves back to our constitutional position, be it with the Supreme Lord, is the process of yoga, the process of linking. And the first step in the process of yoga is to control the senses, control the mind. So a person who is trying to practice this yoga process, he is actually a sadhu, is what Prabhupada is mentioning. And a person who is already progressing in certain regulated spiritual practices and has progressed to some extent is also sadhu of the a person who is already progressing in regulated spiritual practice or some spiritual practices is also known as a sadhu, because he is following certain rules and regulations, do's and don'ts. Like for example, in ISKCON when we come, Prabhupada's teachings we get to know, you should do some do's, some don'ts. So what are do's? The do's is chanting Hare Krishna mantra, engage in hearing, chanting glories of the Lord, and then honor prasadam, engaging practical devotional service. And don'ts is no meat eating, no illicit sex, no gambling, no intoxication, including tea, coffee. So like these certain restrictions are there, because there is a very solid reason and logic behind saying this. It is all helping one to come to the stage of becoming a sadhu. Sadhu is a devotee. So this is second step, Prabhupada says. And third definition is, any holy or saintly person who puts the welfare of others before their own is also known as sadhu, mainly based on their level of spiritual realization and advancement, and also their degree of renunciation and selflessness, and their behavior with other living beings. So now next advanced stage is sadhu's behavior with others, or what is his consciousness. More than himself, he is concerned about doing good to the society, doing good to others. So that is one level of sadhu. The sadhu desires the ultimate benefit for all. In the attempt to help and guide others, the sadhu is said to be as soft as a rose and as strong as a thunderbolt. They are willing to do whatever is needed to save lost and confused souls from repeating the same mistakes. So Prabhupada is mentioning that sometimes we go by externals. Okay, somebody is very soft, externally meek and humble. Okay, he is a very nice sadhu. He could be a very good sadhu. Yes, maybe. But sometimes just going by externals may not prove the thing. So here Prabhupada is mentioning, he may be as soft as a rose, but at the same time, same person can become like a thunderbolt also, as hard as a thunderbolt. So what is the intention behind it? He is actually by default he is soft as rose. But being rose, by telling very nicely, the other person may not accept. And then when that is not working, he becomes like a thunderbolt. So Prabhupada is mentioning, they are willing to do whatever is needed to save lost and confused souls from repeating the same mistakes. So he is likened to a surgeon. By his words alone, he can cut away our false attachments and dispel our illusions. So that is why one has to take shelter of the Guru, Sadhu and Shastras. So Prabhupada is concluding, so like this different categories of sadhus are there. So one has to accept somebody is a sadhu, somebody is a non-sadhu based on the activities, the nature. Just like Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, what is the qualification based on which somebody can be considered as a Brahmana, Kshatriya, somebody as a Vaishya, Shudra. So it is actually not by Janma, just by birth. That is up to some extent. Okay, by nature, okay, they may be having some inbuilt qualities. But again, by Guna and Karma, based on the nature and Karma, what kind of activities they are engaged in, because that is based on free will. Okay, birth, where the living entity takes birth in which family, which part of the world, which country. At present, the living entity does not have control. Because of his past activities, the living entity has taken a birth in certain place, certain geographical areas, in certain families, certain conditions. But now what is there with the living entity is the free will. Now, based on whatever circumstances, whatever possible, what guna I develop, what karma, what activity I engage in. That is why Krishna also, when he explains in Bhagavad Gita, the 5 topics that are discussed in Bhagavad Gita. Entire Bhagavad Gita can be summarized into 5 topics. Entire 700 shlokas speaks of only these 5 subject matters. One is Ishvara, Supreme Lord, Prakriti, the nature, and then Jiva, the living entities, and 4th, Kala, the time factor, the ultimate cause, and then 5th one is Karma. So except this karma, everything can be considered as eternal. Lord is eternal, Jiva is eternal, material nature, although temporary, it is actually bhutva praliyate. Again and again it is manifested, again unmanifest. So in that way it is actually, as long as the living entities are there in this material world, conditioned souls, material nature also will continue. So that way it can be considered as eternal. Only thing which is not eternal is karma. Because based on the free will, based on the present action, the jiva has the freedom to change his karma, to change his future. So that is why the sadhu is always concerned to do good to others. He is not concerned about his personal benefit because he is already situated in the process, in the path of self-realization. So sadhu should be actually taken. Prabhupada also another place explains what is the difference between an enemy and a friend. It is a difference in behavior. A sadhu behaves with all conditioned souls for their ultimate relief from material entanglement. So that is why sadhu sometimes he behaves like as soft as rose. But when some things are not working out, he actually becomes like a thunderbolt. So that is why when we see a lot of teachings from Srila Prabhupada, sometimes some critics make some kind of a comment. How can he be a sadhu who is getting angry? He is using some words which are not fit to be used by a sadhu. He calls someone as a rascal, he scolds. So that is because the pure devotee is undergoing the pain of not being able to deliver the right knowledge which Lord Krishna is trying to give in Bhagavad Gita, he is trying to give in Srimad Bhagavatam, unlimited Vedic scriptures, Vedas, Upanishad, Puranas. The conditioned soul is not able to take it up. So somehow it should strike. So that is why he is actually trying to convince the jiva so that the jiva takes it up seriously. But that doesn't mean he is not a sadhu. He is actually sadhu of the highest cadre. Yes. So and Bhagavad Gita also Krishna mentions this again very famous verse. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. So again sadhu there Krishna actually refers to protect the devotees, the sadhus, and to annihilate the miscreants. What exactly Parikshit Maharaj is telling in today's verse. By annihilating the miscreants or punishing the miscreants, naturally the sadhus are protected. That's how exactly the war between Pandavas and Kauravas happened. No, Kauravas, that doesn't mean that, okay, they were not well educated, Duryodhana was not well educated, or they were not bereft of some good qualities. No, but what was the ultimate good quality because of which they were actually killed, they were annihilated, was they were not respecting the laws of the God, wishes of the God. Krishna actually tried. He went to the extent of even, making as a peace agent. He goes and proposes, just give 5 villages to Pandavas. because Kshatriya's duty is to rule over people. They cannot take the shelter of begging or teaching something. So Brahmanas work they cannot do. So only the occupational duty that is available for Kshatriya is to rule over people. So that 5 villages I'm just asking, out of the entire world, 5 villages. But Duryodhana was so adamant, he did not like to submit to the Supreme Lord Krishna's wishes and desire. So because of that one disqualification, out of envy or whatever reason, what happened? Even though he possessed a lot of good qualities, like in the history also, we see a lot of great demons, like for example Ravana. Now we see actually in today's material world, some people who are actually not law-abiding citizens, or they break some rules, and then whatever sometimes the law is able to punish them. Sometimes they get away with the law, but then what happens? They cannot get away the laws of material nature. Somehow or other they'll get punished either within this lifetime or after this, after they quit their particular body. And then next level is like great demons like Ravanas and Ravana and Kumbhakarna and Hiranyakashipu and all such great descriptions that are there in Srimad Bhagavatam. They actually even surpassed material nature's laws. They could get away with even material laws. How? Because of their austerity, by accumulating pious credits, by performing great tapasya. Because tapasya, when someone performs, naturally he accumulates a lot of powers. And then by getting those powers, what they wanted to do? Again the same disease continued, lording over 10 days. They again did not want to submit to the Supreme Lord. They could actually surpass material nature also, which ordinary citizens cannot surpass. Mamamaya Duratya, Krishna says. But because after performing such heavy austerities, they could surpass material nature, which is Adhyatmika, Adibhautika, Adidevika Kleshas. Even great demigods like Indra, Chandra, they could rule over heavenly planets. Even demigods like big devatas like Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, they could actually surpass their laws. And in fact, in some cases like Vritrasura, even they became a danger for the person who offered boon. Themselves actually they wanted to create trouble. But definitely in that case, Lord Vishnu takes the role, takes the charge, and again he maintains the situation, because his role is to maintain this material world. Lord Brahma's purpose is to create this material world. He is the secondary creator, because all the ingredients, all the knowledge, intelligence, that is again coming from Krishna. And Lord Shiva's duty is to destroy this material nature, material world. But the most difficult, most important task is to maintain all the citizens. Just like the kings, they are called as Naradeva. They were supposed to be Naradevas. And they were supposed to be Rajarshis, because they were the representatives of the Supreme Lord. Just like Supreme Lord Vishnu maintains the entire universe. When something goes out of control, when some powerful demon comes, everybody goes to ultimately Lord Vishnu for protection, for maintaining the law and order in the universe. So that is why when such great demons, in spite of doing such great austerity, they are actually called as asadu. Like in today's verse, it is said, Parikshit Maharaj is saying, Sadhunam bhadram eva syad asadu dhamane krite. Asadu dhamane krite. By curbing, by punishing, by killing the demons, naturally good fortune dawns upon the sadhus. So this is what he is saying. Even Krishna also is saying. So that is why person who is ruling over as a Kshatriya, as an executive head or administrator, he has got a very great responsibility. The great responsibility is to create a very nice situation for the general populace, for all the citizens, including animals, trees, plants, human beings, everybody, so that they can practice the spiritual life very nicely and then go back to Godhead in this very lifetime. If the focus is on solving day-to-day necessities, the problems, then the citizens actually they don't feel it necessary to go beyond eating, sleeping, mating, defending, because these are the major problems which everybody is trying to satisfy oneself with. So only when somebody is satisfied to some extent the basic benchmark, then he can actually think of going back to Godhead And what happens, the faculty that is specially given in the form of human life, asking questions like, what happens after death? Where was I before this birth? What is that rule? What is that law? Randomly anybody is not taking birth in some family, is not getting some problems, or somebody is not born with a golden spoon in his mouth. There is some law. So what is that law? What is the deciding factor? So all these intelligent inquiries only in human form of life one can make. But if he's stuck with problem solving, somebody is trying to attack him, he's trying to defend, and he's trying to protect himself, then the whole focus is shifted from the spiritual goal of life to these basic things. So that is why it's a very important role of the kings. Like, Parikshit Maharaj himself, he is telling that, he took up the reins and he was about to punish this Kali Purusha when he was trying to harm the cow and the bull. And then in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu also, Srila Rupa Goswami is very nicely, that famous verse again, Adav Shraddha Tata Sadhu Sangha Atha Bhajana Kriya Atha Anartha Nivritti. The whole stages, step by step process, it's a science. That is why Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, the science of devotional service, the path of Bhakti Yoga, is very nicely put by all the predecessor Acharyas, especially Srila Rupa Goswami, who has given Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, and Srila Prabhupada has translated it into Nectar of Devotion. And there particularly Sadhu Sangha, just by association of pure devotees, very potent pure devotees, even the non-devotees of the highest order can be converted into devotees. That's what Prabhupada is also offering in today's purport. Just by converting people, not gross conversion, you pay some money to someone and convert them from one religion to another, or offer some facilities, material facilities, which is going to be there to some extent, or ultimately it is going to finish once this body gets finished. So that is not the actual benefit, or that is not the actual conversion. So the actual conversion is the transformation of the heart, transformation of the soul, so which will be carried life after life. That is what Prabhupada is telling. The whole root cause for a living entity to suffer in this material world is the mood of lording over tendency. So lording over tendency means I want to enjoy anything and everything that is at my disposal. So that is the root cause. But the same mentality, when it is dovetailed, okay, whatever, anything and everything that is available, I want to use it offer for Krishna's enjoyment. Then whatever I get as a prasadam, mercy of Krishna, I am satisfied. If this basic mentality is rectified, then naturally one can come out of all the miseries and sufferings of this material world. That's why Krishna also says, Sarva dharmam parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja. So aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayashyami mashucha. So because of sinful activities, we are today suffering. Because of our own sinful activities in the past, today we are suffering. And Krishna is assuring, aham tvam sarva papebhyo. So I will take away all the reactions of all the sinful activities committed in countless lives and in this life, if we are sincerely surrendering to Krishna. So that is why Rupa Goswami also says sadhu sangha, just by association. Like for example, we come across very nice incident in Srimad Bhagavatam itself, few chapters before, how Vidura instructed Dhritarashtra, who was his elder brother. Dhritarashtra, although he was actually in charge as an emperor, because Bhishma had taken an oath that he will never rule. He will never sit on the throne of Hastinapur and rule. He will be a servant of the whoever is the ruler of that particular country, the entire state of Hastinapur. So then Pandu had untimely meets with death, and then only option left was, because Vidura was considered as a Shudra, not qualified. So Dhritarashtra was made as a temporary arrangement as an emperor. Although he was blind materially, okay, that was disqualification to some extent. But the greater disqualification was he was spiritually also blind. He was blind towards the love for his sons, especially aided by Duryodhana. Duryodhana should somehow get my throne. After my passing away, I should actually hand over my throne to Duryodhana. Although actually Yudhishthira Maharaj actually was supposed to be the actual heir, because he was the son of Pandu. So this interim arrangement, he wanted to make it as a permanent arrangement. That is why Dhritarashtra was blind in his vision, in his actions, in his whatever as a role, as an emperor, as a duty which he was supposed to discharge, everywhere actually he was blinded and he was making mistakes. So that is why, and that was one of the main reasons why this battle of Kurukshetra happened. And after that also, when all the 100 sons of Dhritarashtra, when his all 100 sons were killed and they died, still he was actually holding on to the throne of Hastinapur. And the Maya is so strong, everything he wanted to do it for actually his sons. So then it clearly indicates that actually a son's wife or someone else I'm trying to do good, he was actually an illusion. He was actually doing it for himself. So in the name of his children, love for his children, family, etc. But then Vidura, when he sees this, he becomes very angry at Dhritarashtra. So the same person who tried to kill Pandavas so many times, he tried to give them so many troubles, and when Draupadi was being insulted in open assembly, he did not speak a word. And after ghastly, this event of having lost all the 100 sons, still he is holding on to Hastinapur's throne, and he was declaring himself to be the emperor, and he wanted to rule for some more years, although he was on the verge of, nearing death. He was getting older, and it is said that, his limbs were shaking, and the digestive power had reduced, and, anyways, vision was not there. Ears were becoming, weak and all that. So this kind of things, the signs were manifesting. Still, actually, he was holding on to the throne. So Vidura, although he was as soft as a rose, which Prabhupada mentions, because he was the purity of the devotee of the Lord, he was the sadhu of the highest category. He becomes like a thunderbolt. And then, after finishing all the, visiting all the places of pilgrimage, he comes back and he advises Dhritarashtra. And few moments, few statements, and that association, sadhu sangha, was so powerful. Dhritarashtra, although he was attached to his body, family members, the throne, the name, fame, power, everything, immediately overnight he gets transformed, and then next day early morning, without notice to anyone, he just walks away along with his wife for as a vanaprastha, and then finally it is said he attains self-realization. That all happened because of a pure devotee association with Vidura, his younger brother. So that is why Ado Shraddha Tata Sadhu Sangha. So that's why we also have this opportunity to get association, this Sadhu Sangha, from a pure devotee of the highest order, like Srila Prabhupada, who is a bona fide Acharya in the disciplic succession, stemming from Krishna, Brahma. And then by following his instructions, by reading his books, by listening to his lectures, and trying to render some service to him practically, we are actually associating with him. Thereby, what happens? We will be making tremendous progress in our spiritual journey. And also, Srimad Bhagavatam in the 5th canto, Rishabhadeva also says, Nunam pramatta kurute vikarma yadindriya pritaya apurnoti nasadu manne yata atmanoyam asannapi kleshada asadehaha. So, non-sadhu, a non-devotee, he is always hankering after satisfying this temporary material body. But what does it Rishabhadeva say? Sadhu, nasadu manye yata atmanoyam. Whereas a sadhu does not take interest in anything that is not spiritual, that is not useful for the soul. So that is why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also says, one should accept everything and anything that is favorable for his devotional service and reject anything that is unfavorable. Because anything that is unfavorable for the soul, it is only going to delay and put stumbling blocks sooner or later in the progressive path of spiritual life. So that is why one should reject them. So then Rishabhadeva also says that, and then further Lord himself says, so what is the position of pure devotees? Sadhavo hridayam mahyam sadhunam hridayam tvaham. So is that just like the Supreme Lord, Krishna is always in the hearts of sadhus, sadhu is also in the heart of the Supreme Lord. So that means Krishna, just like Bhagavad Gita, Krishna spoke 700 verses. So the first, total 18 chapters are there in Bhagavad Gita, right? So the first 6 chapters speaks of karma yoga, mainly centered around karma, the activities. And then final chapters from chapter 13 to 18 speaks of Jnana Yoga. And then in between, chapter 9th till 12th, 1 to 6, so 7th to 12th, sorry. These 5 chapters speak of exclusively devotional service, pure devotional service. And in that, the middle portion, the topmost confidential knowledge is the 9th chapter. And the instruction, the topmost in the 9th chapter, the instruction which Krishna says that this is the Rajavidya Rajagukyam, this is the topmost secret of all secrets, is what? Manmanabho madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mame vaishyasi satyante pratijane priyosmi. So like this, Krishna says, one who always thinks of me and one who becomes my devotee, offers obeisance to me. Basically, one who becomes a Krishna conscious person, he is very, very dear to me. So that means Krishna is actually thinking of him always, how to do good to him, how to protect him. So that is what exactly Krishna is telling in 9th canto, the 4th chapter, 68th verse. Sadhavo hridayam makhyam sadhunam hridayam twaham. And again Krishna says in that same 9th chapter that apichet suduracharo bhajate mam ananyabhak sadhureva samantavya samyak vyavasito isaha. So it is said sometimes some mistakes happen through even sadhus or devotees. So that should not be considered as a great mistake, because until unless they are engaged in devotional service, they are properly situated. Because in the process of purification, sometimes, just like for example, Prabhupada gives the example of child walking. When the child starts walking, from the very next day, it doesn't become an expert walker, or it doesn't start running. So sometimes even without any stumbling blocks also, it may fall sometimes. So, but that doesn't mean the child is trying to sincerely walk. So that has to be appreciated. But again, that does not become a license. Okay, Krishna will give me protection, so I keep on committing mistakes. I commit, sinful activities continuously. No, out of, without any intention. If it is unintentionally done, if it happens due to past, learning, past habits or something, then actually that is excused by the Supreme Lord Krishna. So that doesn't change his quality of being called as a sadhu. This is also Krishna assures. So that is why Name Bhakta Pranashati Kaunteya Pratijanihi Name Bhakta Pranashati. Krishna says that very quickly he makes progress, and in the end he'll be protected by me. My devotee will never vanquish, is what Krishna is telling. And then if you see Lord's main intention is to give protection to the devotees, and meantime different pastimes he conducts, like killing demons, chastising demons. Like for example, if you go through the Srimad Bhagavatam 10th canto, Prabhupada translates and then gives as a form of Krishna book. So if you see, there are so many demons being killed by Krishna, and some elements, so-called demons, they are punished by Krishna, they are not killed. So like for example, snake was chastised, was punished, he was not killed. So but there are so many demons who were killed by Krishna personally. So Krishna has got his own way, his plan to deal with different kinds of living entities, because everyone has an ultimately connection with Krishna, isn't it? So Krishna says that he is the father of all the living entities. So not only demons, not only devotees, not only sages are Krishna's sons, even actually demons, because of their free will, Krishna has sanctioned it. Okay, you want to become a demon, you want to become a non-devotee, Krishna is only sanctioning that. So but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when the same Krishna, when he appeared as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he did not physically kill anybody. He killed the mentality of such demons. So the demoniac mentality was killed, and then he transformed such demons into devotees. That is what Prabhupada is mentioning in today's purport also. We don't have to kill. If we have to kill in this Kali Yuga, then everybody we have to kill, isn't it? Nobody will be spared. So that is what Kalki, when he comes at the end of this Kali Yuga, he is going to do. He is not going to preach, please surrender to me, please take up this chanting process. No, nobody is going to listen, because humanity would have degraded into such an extent. There is no point in convincing or preaching. Only take a sword and then kill. So that's how all Chiranjeevis are also, the 7 different personalities, they are waiting in different parts of the world. So they'll all be joined along with the incarnation of Lord Kalki, and then entire world will be annihilated, and then again Satya Yoga starts. So but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he is actually the Yuga Avatara. There are 3 incarnations. One is Srimad Bhagavatam in Kali Yuga, and then one is in the form of holy name, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And the other is the covered incarnation, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because he never proclaimed himself to be the Supreme Lord. Here Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, I am the Supreme Lord. Aham, aham. So many times he says, there is no one, matta parataram nanyat kinchidashchid dhananjaya. There is no one higher than me, no one superior to me. I am the Supreme Lord. Krishna is openly, boldly declaring, and he is not just declaring, he has shown it, he has proven. Right from, he was 6 months old, on the mother's lap, he killed Putana. Just, a few months later, he killed, another great demon. And then he lifted Govardhan 7 days, nights, and as a child with his little finger. So all these activities, he expanded, himself into 16,108 forms. When he was in Dwaraka, he was residing in different palaces simultaneously. So all these activities, what he spoke in Bhagavad Gita, he actually proved it. Not that, somebody may claim today as I am the God or I am the incarnation, but they, they're not able to keep their word up to what they are speaking. Krishna actually proved. But in Kali Yuga, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared as the covered incarnation. He never proclaimed himself to the Supreme Lord. He actually, although he is the Supreme Lord, there are so many unlimited references from the Vedic scriptures, he actually became a devotee so that we can follow his footsteps, and then we can also become great devotees like him. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu demonstrated, if we read Chaitanya Charitamrita, he actually transformed great stalwarts like Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, a lot of Mayavadis, Prakashananda Saraswati, so and then Jagai Madai. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's thing was to transform the hearts, and the same vision actually Prabhupada has captured, and he also has converted so many Jagai Madais, so many demons, not by killing them but by transforming their hearts. And one such very wonderful incident is, one recollection, with that we can close, is recollected by one Vasudeva Das. He was a businessman when Prabhupada visits Fiji for the first time in the 1970s. This devotee is recollecting the memory, his association with Prabhupada, how potent it was associating with the sadhu, and what transformation he actually personally that brought in his life. So he says that Prabhupada visited with his assistant and then entourage of devotees. Prabhupada was very quick in walking, even though Prabhupada was 70 plus years, and this young gentleman businessman was in his 30s. Still Prabhupada was very fast in his walking, and then Prabhupada is asking him is there any Radha Krishna temple here in Fiji? So this person says, no, we don't have any temple, Radha Krishna temple, Prabhupada. So why don't you build one? So immediately Prabhupada actually is telling. So then this devotee, then he was not a devotee, he recollects, that time I was a hardcore karmi, a highly materialistic. We were managing a big business of some rice mills and soap manufacturing units like that. They were 5 brothers. They were highly materialistic, nothing, just some devotees requested, one vehicle was required, so he accompanied in the vehicle. Okay, he requested Prabhupada. Then by the end of that conversation, actually something happened to him, he don't know, he offered obeisance, dandavats to Prabhupada. Then Prabhupada said that, are you sure you will build the temple for Radha Krishna here? Yes, Prabhupada, I will try to build, he said like that. He submitted to Prabhupada. Because of that submission and willingness, Prabhupada actually placed his lotus hand on that devotee. So moment Prabhupada placed his hand on the head of the devotee, that devotee felt like some transformation, change that is happening in him. He felt as though all the sinful, the reactions washed away from his body. And then immediately when he was in that state, Prabhupada said, immediately you should start chanting 16 rounds from today. So he was in that sense, he just naturally, yes, came out of his mouth. And then he recollects that from that day, even till today, he is actually continuing to chant his 16 rounds. And then he recollects that he had built a temple there in Fiji. And that's how small association, few seconds. That's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also says, Lavomatra sadhu sangha sarva siddhi hoy. Just by few seconds, few moments of association with the pure devotee, it can bring in an eternal lifetime, life after life, that benefit for the soul, which is not restricted to just this body or mind or our egos, false egos. So that's how that is very important thing, that which in today's verse also Parikshit Maharaj is mentioning. So that is why the sadhus, they have to be protected, because they are the roles, the duties that are assigned to a sadhu is of very high importance. That is why these asadhus, the demon, the miscreants should be punished, so that the sadhus can do on their duties properly. So that was the discussion. If anyone has any comments or questions, we can discuss for 5 more minutes. Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare.
Prabhu, in Vidura's case, it is said in Bhagavad Gita also, like the Varna is decided based on, not based on birth, it is based on quality. So Guna Karma Vibhagashaha, even Krishna tells, and Prabhupada also mentions in many places. So how to understand, Prabhu, in Vidura's case, like even though like quality wise he is a Brahmana, why we still call him Shudra?
Yeah, so because how Vidura is considered as a Shudra is basically the question. So that is a special instance. So that was not like a general any other regular person's example where he takes birth in the Shudra family. That was a special pastime of the Lord, wherein Vidura was actually Yamaraj himself, and then Yamaraj had a desire to assist in the Lord although Yamaraj is one of the 12 Mahajanas, he is assisting in Lord's carrying out his orders in this administration of this universe and all. But still he wanted to have personal association with Krishna when Krishna would actually descend on this material world. So then, because of that particular pastime, it so happened that he cursed one sage, he punished one sage, and then that sage in turn he cursed Yamaraj, because for a small punishment you are punishing me disproportionately. So that's how the birth of Vidura was such that he was taken birth as the son of a Shudrani, but actually he was the representative of the Supreme Lord as Yamaraj. So that is why for external reasons he was considered Shudra, but in his consciousness wise he was always a pure devotee. So that was the thing. Okay, one last question. Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare.
Dandavat Pranam, Prabhu. It's mentioned in the verse that sadhu bhadramte, the sadhus are protected and given auspicious environment by asadhu damana, by chastising asadhus or non-devotees. So how can we in this Kali Yuga take it as a message and try to implement, because this is not for us chastising. So as a practitioners, how can we take care of our own activities, our own preaching activities within various circumstances where asadhus create so many troubles?
Yes, so actually we should not take laws into our hands. Now suppose somebody does a crime, okay, I have seen he has done a crime, so I will directly punish him. That used to happen only in Satya Yuga. Like for example, Prabhupada also mentioned, king used to personally judge people. He used to award punishment or reward personally to the citizens. But in today's world, the system is so that we cannot take laws into our own hands. There is a process, there is a channel. You complain it, legally, officially, in some extent. But what we should do within our own capacity is what demonstrated by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Prabhupada also mentions in today's purport that instead of killing the person or punishing the person, we should change his heart, we should change his mentality, so that we should try to make him as a devotee. So basically we should try to preach, try to give, distribute this knowledge of Krishna consciousness, distribute prasadam, try and find ways and means in such a way that we can engage such a person in devotional service, Krishna consciousness. So by doing that, what happens? He will also become devotee very soon. So that's what Prabhupada is saying today's Prabhupada. But by becoming devotee, naturally he gives up his habit of performing these kind of miscreant activities. So then, so by doing that, what happens? Naturally, it is an auspicious situation for all the sadhus. So by punishing, so that way punishing means not directly punishing now, like how Parikshit Maharaj, he was the emperor of the whole world. We are not so great, so we are not so qualified. So our duty is to make everyone into devotees of the Supreme Lord. So that is what administrators, the executive heads, everyone should try to do, is what Prabhupada is actually saying. I hope that's clear. Okay, thank you. We'll stop here. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की, जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे।